Hello everyone. Shivananda Sharma Memorial RV College, Video Lectures and ISR Initiative. SSMRV College is one of the premier institutions run by the prestigious RV group of institutions. Has come up with this unique initiative to engage students at the time of this unforeseen medical emergency caused by corona outbreak. As a socially responsible institution, we would like to connect academically with students to make good the losses caused. In this connection, I, Lavanya BK of Department of Business Administration, has posted a video on the subject organizational behavior and the topic conflict management. Please watch the video till the end, like and share with your peer groups, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you. Let's start our video by understanding what conflict is all about. Conflict can be simply replaced with clash or disagreement. As you can see in the picture, there are two people who are glaring at each other. They are not happy, they are not smiling, or they are not having that calmness on their face. In fact, they are very rude and harsh. That talks about the conflict. When one party or one person is not able to agree with the other person's idea, statement, or any such decisions taken, there comes this conflict into the picture, which creates a sort of disturbance in the atmosphere. Especially when we talk about conflict in the organizational arena or atmosphere, it's something that is highly important to take care of, because if you nurture conflict, they can eradicate your organization. They can completely bring a lot of negativity and make you concentrate on conflicts and resolving them and doing everything that is not at all required for you, because as an organization you would have your own motto to run behind, people to manage and resources to be accountable to. But when you have this conflict coming into the picture, when it can grow enormously because you haven't given proper care towards taking it off, or proper care towards removal of conflicts, or making sure that you have a clear system where people can talk to each other and sort out the problem, then it is for sure going to be a great threat which you don't want to happen to you or to your organization. So conflict talks about the clash or disagreement where it can happen between people or groups, a group and a group, or it can happen between company and another company. Basically, you must have more than a person to have a conflict there, because you can't have a conflict with yourself. Sometimes it might be, but mostly it is not. So when you're not having that capability to understand and saying yes or showing a thumbs up to the other person's idea or decision, there comes this conflict, a disagreement. So that's about the conflict, the basic meaning of conflict. So let us move on to the second slide, where there are quite a number of sources where the conflict can possibly emerge or can possibly be born in the organizational premises especially. So starting with the first one that you have as a status. Status here talks about the condition or the or simply the stature where the person is right now in. If the conflict has to happen, first it has to happen within the person or between people, and then it can be shown through his actions and words. So if the position that you are right now in, or the status that you are right now in, is kind of negative, it's not letting you to outsee the situation, it's not letting you to be thinking optimistically, and you are too much influenced by the negativities around you, then obviously you end up having a disagreement or end up having a clash with the other person. The status within which you are right now in, if it is a negative one, for sure it is going to have an implication on you. So that is one of the major sources of conflict. And the second one under sources of conflict is incongruence. Let us understand what is congruence first. Congruence, it's the ability of somebody to agree. If I have the quality to agree with somebody's idea, somebody's thought, somebody's decision, I am congruent as a person. I have the quality called congruent or congruence. So opposite of that is incongruence. Incongruence is basically saying no, or basically disagreeing basically not being okay with anything. So if I am a person or situations made me to be incongruent, obviously I would say no to any of the best decisions taken, any of the best ideas proposed. So in that way, conflict will eventually come into the picture, and then later stages you might have the negativities coming up along with it. So incongruence is the not showing a thumbs up, not showing a green signal, or not agreeing to anything. Talks about your incongruence, one of the sources of your conflict. And the third one here talks about the incompatibility. Compatibility and incompatibility. Compatibility is a positive term, and incompatibility is a negative term, of course. So, compatibility is about how well you can adjust with people. If you're compatible, you adjust. If you're compatible, you're accommodative. Okay, so likewise, when you're incompatible, you're having incompatibility, you don't tend to adjust, whether it is people, it is process, it is policies, let it be anything. That as human beings we must be with people, right? Like we are called as social animals. We be with people, we move with them, we represent ourselves with the group that we belong to. So when you're incompatible, you don't have the quality of being with people, you're not accommodative, you're not adjustive as a person. So there comes one of the sources, a major reason why again a conflict can happen, because you're not adjustive as a person. So that's the third source. And the fourth source talks about stress. Stress is it's an internal trigger, basically. It's emotional pressure, sometimes or mostly that can be shown uh, into aggressions or aggressive uh, representations of any sort. If at all you're not okay with something, and things have been happening overlapping onto you, and you're not able to channelize it properly, not able to give the thought process properly, you're not able to function properly, but there are things that are overlapping you. Like at one point in time you just burst out, at one point in time you're so much pressurized and you just want to shout, you want to yell, you want to do everything that was beyond your control because you were triggered immensely. So stress of any sort caused by any of the reasons can be one of the source of conflict. And next you have is weak leadership. Weak leadership here talks about incapability of a leader, not giving enough time to his followers to listen to, not giving space for them to talk to or talk about something, or not being you know a, a powerful leader, not being a proper leader because he's not transparent maybe, or he might not be accommodative to the people's needs. I mean, people, when I say, is the follower needs or follower requirements or anything. So if he lacks some of the qualities or essential qualities a leader must have, again people are not happy with him, people are not agreeing to whatever he says, because there are a lot of loopholes, there are a lot of blemishes that as a leader he has. So that can be one of the source of conflict. That is, if you lack the leadership qualities, you being a leader, you have blemishes more than the strengths, and the followers are not happy with the way you're conducting yourself, and that becomes one of the source of conflict. And next you have is seeking power. Seeking power, it's about one line that can sum up the seeking power here in the context is like everyone wants to be a leader and nobody wants to be a follower. Like every person in the organization, let us say a team or a group, wants to represent himself as a leader, but nobody wants to be a follower. So what happens when everybody wants to rule and nobody wants to listen? There comes this clash, disagreement. Like you want to be in the center of the attraction, you want to be in the limelight, you want to enjoy that power, you want to enjoy that amenities that a leader gets or the attention that he would get, but you are a follower, you are a member, you're not getting it. So what happens, that internal triggers that happen to you, and it just pushes you to go for something that you might not be fitting for right now, maybe because you lack the skill, you lack a prowess, you lack the expertise that a leader must have. So let it be anything, but seeking power in the first place would make sure that the clash will also come with you, the conflict comes with you. So that's one of the sources of conflict again. And the last one that you have is managerial actions. Managerial actions here can be like not including your employees in any decisions, important decisions taken meeting, or high rigidity, and it can be like allowing rumors to take their toll, and a lot of causing a lot of stress to your employees by overloading them with work and not giving the amenities that you promised them that you would give them, and not giving them the space that they deserve after all. So all those blemishes that you can possibly have with you, because you, as a management, you are not at all doing a good job, and then obviously the people that who are working under you are not happy, and when they're not happy, obviously this conflict emerges. So these are the basic sources which actually give birth to conflict in the organization premises. Let's move on to the next slide, where the important one, which talks about the conflict management or ways to overcome conflict. So if there is a conflict which is a common tendency that can happen whether today or tomorrow or anywhere, I mean uh, in the organization especially, and you have the sources if that can lead to conflict, there must be a way that you can sort out the conflict and bring back the relationships, bring back the unity, bring back the objectives and everything, because ultimately you want to keep functioning to attain the goal. So here there are 5 very important and very popular way of sorting out the conflict or managing conflict: competing, collaborating, compromising, avoiding, and accommodating. Let us start with the first one, that is avoiding, because let us go it as a, as a ascending order from the basic. Let us go. The first one I would like to start with is avoiding. Avoiding is lose win situation. Avoiding is basically being ignorant. If somebody, let us say one particular person is telling you that your opinion is not worthy of implementation, your opinion is full of nonsensical content, or it lacks content, it's a and they're highly intolerable about your opinions or about your actions, and they show all negative behavioral traits towards you. If you simply ignore them, if you simply ignore their actions and words, that's avoiding. If you just don't want to have conflicts with you, if you just don't want to have any negativity with you, or don't want to have any disturbances around you or in the atmosphere, simply to avoid them and their words, it's more than sufficient. So if you just avoid them, that becomes avoiding. uh, One of the ways that you can maintain or manage conflicts. And the second one is accommodating. Okay, so accommodating here, it's again a lose or win situation. It talks about sacrificing or agreeing or being congruent. uh, if you think that the opinion or the decisions of the other people are better than you, or they have a better content than what you have already expressed or proposed, or you simply believe that they can do a better job than you, that you can just accommodate them. Like you sacrifice on your idea, sacrifice on your plan, and include them into the picture. Okay, by accommodating or being adjustive or being congruent, you just giving no place for the conflict to happen. Because when you withstand their opinions, there comes conflict. What happens when you accommodate them? What happens when you yourself go down and give them the space to do things? Obviously there is no chance for conflict. So that is accommodating there. And next you have is competing, the third one. So competing, it's again a win or lose situation. So competing talks about withstanding. It talks about it's a dominating style basically. You withstand somebody else's actions or plans. You strongly say no to them. You strongly say that your idea is the best, your opinion is the best, and you get into the tiff between with the person. You want to use all your power that you have, and you just want to compete with them. It is definitely a spoiler. It just spoils the relationships to the extent possible. So competing, it's very negative because they want to win. At the same time you want to win. They want to implement their plan, and as well you want to. So you're not giving any space. There is no point of ignoring, there is no point of avoidance. You just want to get into that particular competition. So that becomes competing, another way of conflict management. So if you win, they lose. If they win, you will lose. So it's that thing. And next you have is you know uh, compromising. So compromising is both the parties mutually come together. They think, they come to this particular conscience understanding where they believe, let me not win, let you not win, let us just mutually agree to each other's point of view and go ahead. So compromise talks about that mutual give and take. It's a cooperative pursuing technique where I will also do with you, do this particular thing by my side. I'll be doing it, and you can do yours. I don't come into your thing. You don't come and get your actions or get your things or negativity into my place. Let us have our equal parts divided, and let us define our boundaries neatly so that we won't disturb each other. So that common agreement or compromise, like mutually respecting each other, and that can be compromise, one of the techniques. And the last one is collaborating, the best technique out of all these five, which is a win-win situation. Collaborating is basically integrating. You take your idea, you take your action that you want to have in the future, you take your plan into account, and you take the plan, actions or ideas, you collaborate both the plans together and create something beautiful out of it. So collaborating is a win-win situation. It's very much likely to happen. It's very very, because it won't harm any person, it won't harm any party, nor it won't be a disturbance anywhere. That will help you to integrate the needs of people of both the parties, if there are two people in the picture, and somehow try to create something that is synergically very good. So in that way, there are five conflict management styles. You can pick any of this, but the best out of all this can be collaborative, because both of them will win here. So that's about the conflict management. Let us move on to the last slide, where I have mentioned about managing interpersonal relationships. When we talk about organization, having relationships between people, it's very common thing. It's not about the relationships, it will exist anyway, but having a positive, um, a disturbance free, an effective relationship between a colleague and a colleague, leader and a manager, leader and a follower, it's very important to have effective relationships to be established when it is an organization, especially because your productivity is highly depending on your relationships, like how well you know each other, how well you bond with each other, and what is your level of integrity and cohesiveness and everything. So when you want to really work on your relationships, because somewhere all of us do mistakes, somewhere we are not too good at understanding people, somewhere people are very difficult to comprehend. So when that is the case, the following things or the following ways can actually help you to work on your relationships and make them better. Because as I told, your productivity is relying on it. If you want to accelerate your productivity and make yourself flourish yourself, or the group that you belong to, the only way is to be good to people, be good with people. So the first one here talks about cultivate a positive outlook. um, we usually gravitate a lot towards people who are upbeat, optimistic, always smiling, cheerful, confident. So, those are the positive traits. So, if you think that you are not very good at having relationships with your colleagues, or you think that you are not sharing a good bond with the people that you must be. Probably this can be a reason where you're not able to have that positive look onto yourself. People perceive you as a negative or pessimist, nobody will ever dare to come near you, because negativity is not something nice to embrace, but positivity is. So if you want to work onto your relationships, and want to make them sound and effective, best way is to start with being positive. It can be any way. It can be talking politely, it can be keeping your incivilities aside, it can be having a happy face, it can be showing that you're confident, it can be showing that you're having gratitude. So these basic things which actually make the positive side of yourself, which can make you shine brighter, can be one best way to start working on your relationships. And the second one talks about control over your emotions. So emotions are human, it's a human thing. You know, we go through a lot of emotions in a day, and we express them every day, and we call them as people who express a lot, we call them as extrovert, and people who choose not to, you know, express emotions, we call them as introvert. So, and there can be somebody in between as well. So when that is the case, we express, and our ways of expressing can be different, but ultimately we do express our emotions. So let it be an ecstatic happiness, or let it be a saddening depression, we tend to express it a lot. But when you want to work on your sound interpersonal relationships, it's always better that you have a control over your emotions. Let it be the most positive relationship, I mean the most positive emotion, or let it be the most negative emotion. It's always good to be neutral. I think being neutral is playing safe. It's always good that you have a control over it, and moderately show at the times of requirement, and try to be calm and composed at the time, most of the times. So when you want to work on your interpersonal relationships, it's better that you have a hold, have a grip over your emotions. So that is the second one. And the next one is acknowledge others expertise. So if you see that somebody is doing something great, or somebody is very brilliant in a particular genre, or somebody is doing their job impeccably great, it's always good that you go and appreciate them, take a moment of your time and just appreciate that. In turn, blossoms relationships. And the fourth one is find a good trait in every co-worker, your colleagues. It's very important that you work on the relationships that you share with your colleagues, because you spend a lot of time with them. And that's why it's important that you find a good trait, at least one good trait that you can find with your colleague, I mean that you can find in your colleague. It's good that you identify it and take a moment of your time to go and appreciate it, or show interest that you want to learn that from the person. That in turn just makes relationships a lot better. And the last one is show real interest in your colleagues. It's always important that you tell them that they matter. And it's not just telling that they matter, but also showing that you are interested to know about them. It's important in the personal zona, because when you are connected as people, you can just work without any hassles, you can just work smoothly, not only with the work perspective, but also relationships when they come in the personal life, personal front also. It's a lot better when you show real interest that on your colleagues, and say they matter, and say that you're interested to know about them, and say that if there is any good thing happens or bad thing happens to them, you always be there as a person, or you can always tell them that they can count on you. So that in turn nourishes relationships, not only keeping organization into the picture, but also beyond that also you can just carry the relationships there. So these are the very general ways where you can actually work on the relationships, interpersonal relationships, and make them a lot better and flourish them. And this is about the topic conflict management. Thank you so much for watching. Please like, comment and share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Thank you.